Welcome back to the channel. Hope you enjoyed the previous submissions. Today I wanted to talk about Split Infinity. It's book one of the Apprentice Adept series. It is another book by Piers Anthony, and if you've seen my other videos, you know that I've reviewed Piers Anthony's books before. I have read a number of the books from his Xanth series, and I've recently finished the it's the last book I have, and I found out that later that he actually released another book in the Incarnations of Immortality series, but I finished all the ones that I had which was up to 7, and now there's 8 of them. Anyway, the reason that I'm reviewing this one now is because I just recently finished it. So I have quite a backlog of books on my shelf waiting to be read, and I've been trying to come up with a way to work through that backlog. Anyway, I have an app that I've been using to track which books I purchase, and I actually the reason I got it was because I had actually bought a book I already owned more than once, and because of that I got the app so that I could keep track while I was at the store and check before I bought a book whether or not I already had it. If it's a new book, obviously that's not the problem. It's usually when I go to the used bookstore and I'm like, oh, I really like that book. I remember reading it. Well, one of the reasons I remember reading it is because it's on my bookshelf. So anyway, one of the nice things about the app that I'm using, don't remember I was about to say what that was, but I don't remember the name of the app. So I was trying to pull up. It's called Book Catalog. Catalog is spelled Catalogue, so not the normal American spelling of catalog. Anyway, it keeps when I put a book in it. It keeps track of when I added the book, and so I actually organized the books by when I added them, and this was one of the first books I added to the app that I hadn't already read, and so that's why I decided to read it. Anyway, Apprentice Adept series. So when you first start reading the book, you wouldn't necessarily think that what's on the cover has anything to do with what's in the book. Okay, so the book starts out with an introduction to the main character. His name is Stile, and that's Stile, and it has reference to the fence, or not the fence, the ladder that you would use to climb over a fence in a corral or in fields. I don't know if you've seen these. Sometimes if you're out driving in the country and you see a lot of fences around and there might be a river nearby, you'll see these little ladders that go right over the fence. And I've been told that farmers put those in there so that you can still have access to like the river or whatever's nearby to go fishing without having to damage the fence by trying to climb over it. I assume that it's also that the farmer can drive over there, get out, climb into that particular area. So anyway, the main character's name is reference to that particular ladder that goes over the fence because he works as a jockey, and he rides horses, and so because of that, he got his start on the planet that he lives on. And I say planet, yes, this is futuristic. It's set way in the future, and he lives on this planet called Proton. Now, Proton is highly advanced civilization, and it's separated into two classes of people. There's the citizens, and they're wealthy, and they have power and benefits, and then there's the serfs. Now, the serfs work for the citizens. Now, the serfs, because they work for the citizens, they get put into wherever they are needed, and this is a mining planet, and it's strange that he is a jockey, but he is short, and he was working with the horses. He got to know them very well, and he gradually became a jockey, one of the best on the planet. In addition to that, he also plays games. Now, because of the nature of the planet, the serfs and the citizens want entertainment, so they have the game. Now, you can play the game, and if you win the tournament, you can stay on planet Proton. This is one of the things that to me doesn't necessarily make sense. But there are some rules for the serfs that live on planet Proton. As soon as you get to a certain age, if you don't win the tournament, you cannot stay on the planet. You have to leave. Now, while you're on the planet, all your needs are taken care of. And so you're just working for the citizen, and you are being paid to work for the citizens. So it's not like there's no recompense. It's just that while you're there, you don't need any money. Everything's taken care of. So when you get shipped off planet, you get a large sum of money to set yourself up, and you become very wealthy, just not on planet Proton. But the thing is that most people don't actually want to leave the planet. It's his world, his rules. He can go, Piers Anthony can do what he likes, but it just doesn't really make sense. The other thing is that, like I said, Style is a jockey. Now, I get it that they're, with the wealth that comes from being there on the planet and being able to, basically, what you find out is that they mine starship fuel on planet Proton. And so that makes it a very important planet. And so because of that, you have a lot of rich people on the planet. I shouldn't say a lot of rich people, but there are a number of wealthy people on the planet, outnumbered by the serfs, obviously. But the serfs work for the citizens, and the citizens have to have their entertainment, I guess, and so that's one of the reasons why they needed a jockey, and they have racing and all that stuff on the planet. Obviously, the games are there to entertain the serfs, to be their entertainment, and you go into these games and you play the games, and it's basically a planet-wide ranking. So you could be put together with other people on the planet that, and you'd go up against them in competitions, and there's just all sorts of these games in the planet. The other thing that didn't really make sense is the serfs are not allowed to own or wear clothing. Now, this is one that doesn't make sense to me in any way, shape, or form. And I don't mean, obviously, if there are a bunch of naked people running around, that has one connotation. But the reason it doesn't make any sense to me is from the perspective of, Style he's walking around the fields all day. Before he became a jockey, he had to do he had to pick up after the horses, so he had to go and scoop up the horse manure. I mean, that's a dirty job, yes, but walking across uneven, broken ground, rocks, all that stuff on your unprotected bare feet, and then you're slinging manure, which, come on, what if something slips and you get splattered with manure? The other thing is that he goes and he races horses while naked. I mean, just the thought of that is cringe-worthy. I mean, the thing is that there's a number of reasons that we wear clothing, and one of the reasons is to cover nudity, but the other reason is for protection against the elements. And yes, protection against the elements, in this case, you may not need to worry about hot or cold, because on this planet all the cities are in domes, so they're protected and climate controlled in that regard. So that may not be a consideration. They may not have to worry about getting sunburned because they're, in these domes. But the thing is that you're also there using it for protection against other elements, not just like light and rain and heat and cold and that kind of thing. You're also elements as in what's around you in nature. Now, if you're working a job, you don't want to have to worry about getting caught in the machinery with your unprotected skin. I'd much rather have my shirt get torn than to have my, something grab a hold of my skin. So I don't get why he made that particular rule in this book. Well, style, as I said, he's a jockey, and he does very well. But he is one day. Should back up. One day, this woman shows up, and Style deduces, because he's a very smart individual, he deduces that she's not actually human, that she is an android, and he does figure out why she's there. She's there to protect him, and he doesn't know why, and she doesn't either. She's just been sent to protect him. Well, in one of his horse races, he is out in the lead and he's doing really well, and somebody shoots him with a laser in the knee, and it damages it. It was an invisible attack, and it damaged his knees so that he couldn't continue the ride, and he they call the race because they scanned him and they showed that he was injured. His boss says, "Okay, I will replace your knees for you cybernetically," but because of all the stuff that's going on, and because of the danger to his life, he objects to this. He gets fired, which means that he only has a short time to find a new employer, or he gets shipped off planet. And he doesn't want to go. And he finds out through while hiding from his pursuers, because he's actually, he is in danger. While he's hiding from his pursuers, he finds a portal that takes him from Proton to a new planet called Phase. Now, on Phase, Phase is very different than Photon, or I keep saying Photon, and it might be Proton now that I'm looking at it. Anyway, that being said, Proton. While he's on Proton, Proton being technological, science-driven, he goes to Phase, which is based in magic. And so this world has a split existence. And he finds that everything that exists has an analog in both places. He figures out that he can go from one place to another place on each planet, and as long as he's careful about where the mapping is, he can there's a boundary basically that he can cross, and it follows certain contours of both planets, and by crossing at different places he can basically move back and forth between the planet at different places. And that's when the unicorn comes in. He meets a unicorn. He feels that he needs a way to get around on Phase, and he finds a unicorn. It turns out to be a sentient animal, and he befriends it, and that's when he figures out that there are magic users of all types of varying abilities, and he's got to figure out how to exist in both places, because in Proton, if he wins the game, he can stay on the planet indefinitely. But right now he's under attack in the one, and in the other, he now has this new existence. But does he really want to stay just in the magic planet, or does he want to be able to go back and forth between them? I enjoyed reading it. I have 4 more books in the series. I have 1, 2, and 3, and then like 6. So I'll have to get the ones in between, obviously. But anyway, I enjoyed it. I enjoy reading Piers Anthony, his literary style. I enjoy it. As I said, there were some things that were kind of wonky about the book. One of the things that was, to me, was weird was the whole lasering the knees thing. I mean, I can understand why you would try to take out someone that way, because it would leave no exterior marks. It would injure them so that they wouldn't be able to finish the race. Yes, because he couldn't hold the correct posture for a jockey. It confused the horse, caused the horse to slow down, and because of that, he was able to. But because of that, he wasn't able to win. The thing is that he later has to run a marathon. And I would assume that if you just had your knees lasered, that would be a huge problem. They were lasered, but never fixed, because they were going to replace his knees with cybernetics. Not just like heal his knees, because they're like, oh, we can't do anything, but we can replace your knees with robot knees. But they never did that. And when he went to the magic place, there was healing magic, but it was never used to fix his knees. So I don't know. It was just something that was like, apparently it's only a problem if you're riding a horse that you have injured knees. I don't know. There's a couple things like that were like, well, that's a weird loophole, or not loophole, but plot hole right there that you've got going. The other thing, like I said, the no clothes for the serfs, that doesn't make sense. There's a whole plethora of reasons why you would wear clothes, and not just because of covering, modesty. There's a number of reasons why you would wear them, because there's a really good reason why we wear clothes. Anyway, that being said, pretty good book. Plan to finish out the series. Let me know if you've read this one, what you thought of it. If you thought that anything else was weird. Some of the rules about the games and how they decide who's going to play what, then kind of weird, but whatever. It's that bothers me less than some of these little niggling little details, like I said. Anyway, that's it for today. Like, subscribe, comment down below, put the bell on so you get notifications when I drop new videos, and enjoy what you're reading.